October 18th, 2024, security footage from a school classroom spread across the internet after the video left students genuinely frightened by what it showed. The clip was originally posted by the teacher, a Mr. Simon, who only decided to pull up the recording after one of his students came to him with a bullying complaint. While scrubbing through footage from the night before he got a motion alert timestamped at 10 p.m., he figured it was probably a burglar or maybe a custodian doing their rounds. What he actually found stopped him dead in his tracks. Something materializes right at the doorway of the classroom. It's difficult to make out at first, but as the camera pans around, it locks onto the figure and holds there. Simon has described what he saw as a misty, ethereal presence. As far as he's concerned, something from beyond the natural world paid his classroom a visit that night. Even so, he can't say for certain what it truly was. One thing seems undeniable though, whatever is lurking in Simon's classroom, it isn't done making itself nut. A man relaxing at home suddenly finds himself unsettled by mysterious sounds drifting up from his basement. Curiosity gets the better of him, and he grabs his phone to document whatever might be down there. He makes his way carefully down the staircase, sweeping his camera across every dark corner of the poorly lit space. Then, without warning, something lurking in the shadows stops him dead in his tracks. See for yourself what he walked into.
What's the matter, bud? What's the matter, big guy? Huh? Something there. Oh. What'd you hear, buddy? Fuck. Just not this. What's that? Oh. What the fuck?
By the time he reaches the bottom step, the footage captures him slowly panning the room, trying to make sense of what he's seeing. That's when a shadowy figure comes into view, completely motionless against the wall, and it sends him into a full-blown panic as he scrambles to get out. Instagram user Chloe had just pulled up to her home at 10 at night. The moment she got out of her vehicle, something or someone called her name.
Hello.
Oh, Jesus Christ, who said that? Huh? Oh! Oh, God.
A male voice she didn't recognize can be heard saying hello. Hello. In her caption, Chloe made it clear that there was nobody else in the area at the time, which left her thoroughly unsettled, but that wasn't the only thing worth noting. Right as she made her way to the front door with her things, the footage reveals a strange movement near the car door, with absolutely no one there to explain it. Reactions from viewers were all over the place. A few people thought it was simply a bird, others guessed it might have been an old man nearby, but a solid chunk of commenters were convinced this was something supernatural, pointing to entities or shape-shifting beings known for replicating the human voice. Chloe herself normally posted about meditation and had never once ventured into paranormal content before this. Even so, she said the voice, despite sounding human, didn't feel like it actually was. So what do you think? The next clip comes to us from the Queen of Owning Paranormal group. One night in the rural countryside near Boswell, Pennsylvania, a man left his dogs tied up outside to enjoy the cool night air before settling in for the evening. The quiet night didn't stay peaceful for long though, as the dogs suddenly started going wild, barking frantically at the thick brush surrounding the property. This kept happening night after night, and the man figured there was probably a pack of coyotes roaming the area. Eventually, the constant disruptions got to be too much, so he headed outside to track down whatever was causing the commotion. What he came face to face with was something far more terrifying than he ever could have anticipated.
Fucking coyotes out here, man. Fuck. Hey! Get! That fucking knife. Come up. Scaring my dogs. Oh, bullshit. Come on, get. Yeah. Fucking something. Fuck. Hey. Jesus.
A disturbing humanoid figure with intensely bright glowing eyes can be spotted lurking deep within the bushes under cover of darkness. Researchers believe this to be a brush crawler encounter, which typically concludes with the creature retreating from human contact. But on this particular night, it reared up and took an aggressive, threatening posture, sending the man running. Several days after that, he noticed his trash cans were being ransacked, and his first instinct was that a black bear was to blame. But when he pulled up the footage from his porch security camera, what he saw told a very different story. The same type of creature, or something nearly identical, appears to peek around the corner of the house, seemingly ducking away from the camera as though it understands it's being observed, suggesting a level of awareness and intelligence that makes this all the more unsettling. Several other residents in the surrounding area have reported comparable encounters, though none managed to capture anything nearly this clear on camera. For further updates and more mysterious sightings, you can head over to the Queen of Owning Paranormal page. On March 8th, 2025, a woman by the name of Emma recorded something that shook her to her core. It was late at night, she was home by herself watching television in the living room when she started picking up strange sounds coming from just outside her front door. What she caught on camera is right here. You can clearly hear eerie, unsettling noises near the entrance, including what appears to be her own voice saying, "No, you're in there," right before the door handle starts to move. Emma went to check the windows but found no one standing outside. She figured that was that, but then 6 nights later, darkness falls and the whole thing starts over again.
And this is why I can't call the cops, because when I go to look, there's no one there. I know it's hard to see, but I'm not opening the door. There's like no one out there, and like this is a window. There's no people, but this is a window, and you can't really see out there. It's hard to see. so I don't know what the hell is going on.
This time, the voice turns more aggressive, demanding to be let in. Yet when Emma peers through the window, the doorstep is completely empty. With no idea what's lurking on the other side, she refuses to open it. Her conclusion? She thinks it's a mimic. What makes this even more unsettling is that these incidents appear to be occurring every couple of nights, so there's a good chance we'll be hearing more from Emma soon. In the meantime, drop your thoughts on this one below. These clips originate from the TikTok page you're looking at right now. The account is run by a woman named Alicia, a barbershop owner based out of Florida, who typically posts day-to-day content, but one upload stood out from the rest and spread like wildfire across the platform. She explained that her brother had recently moved into a new apartment over in Texas, and almost immediately after settling in, he began noticing some deeply unsettling things. And fortunately, he had his camera rolling for all of it. A dresser appears to glide across the floor toward him with no one pushing it. Then the mattress suddenly dips down, as though an invisible weight is pressing into it, before it shifts slightly and creeps in his direction. Alicia was completely stunned watching this unfold, so her brother pulled her into a video call to let her witness everything happening in real time. And what followed was even harder to explain.
Dad, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out.
No. Shh. I wanted to do this.
Oh my gosh. Dad,
It just hit me. It hit me.
tell it. Be like, you just hit me. Don't do that.
No. The Bible's right there. That wasn't very nice. I'm pretty sure you don't care about my stuff. I'm standing up now. I'm not sitting back down. You're not gonna hurt me. You're not gonna hurt me. You can move it all you want to. I'm not scared of you. I'm not scared of you.
Don't say that now.
I'm not fucking scared of you.
Don't say that now.
I'm not scared of you. You stay back there where you at, wherever you are. Don't touch me. I don't want this by me.
Once they were on the call together, things escalated quickly. At one point, the dresser slammed into him and toppled over, almost as if something was deliberately targeting him. Later that same night, he described feeling a burning sensation across his skin, and upon checking, he discovered scratch marks had appeared on his body. Still rattled, he returned the following day to tidy up, since the place had been left in complete disarray. He propped his phone up to record while he worked, just as a precaution. Throughout that footage, strange voices can be picked up in the background, sounds he was completely unaware of in the moment, only noticing them later when he reviewed the recording. Alicia also mentioned that her brother brought the videos to his coworkers, and the reactions were equally shocked. Ultimately, the family decided the safest option was for him to pack up and leave that apartment for good. So what's your take on what was going on in that place? And honestly, what would you have done if it were you? Drop your thoughts below. A few years back, a half-nurse by the name of Shelby went through something she would carry with her for the rest of her life. During one of her night shifts, a patient under her care passed away. Shelby and several colleagues took care to prepare the body ahead of the family's farewell visit before it was transported. The corridor outside that room was completely still, not a soul in sight. Then, later that same night, as Shelby sat working at her station, the call light from that exact room flickered on. She'd be the first to say she wasn't eager to go back, but she made her way down the hall to switch it off. The light was still on, hanging there on the wall right next to where the woman lay. She returned to her desk, barely having a moment to collect herself before that same call light lit up once more. Rather than walking back down the hall, she decided to pick up the phone at her station and answer it from there, but nothing could have readied her for what came through the line. On the other end was a deeply unsettling voice that sent an immediate chill straight through Shelby. She pressed in close to listen, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't quite make out the words being spoken. All the while, the room was empty, the television was dark, and the door was shut tight, leaving whoever, or whatever, was behind that voice a complete and total mystery. An aging farmhouse was intentionally torched as part of a controlled burn exercise, with the local fire department overseeing the whole operation. But the footage that came out of it sent a chill down a lot of spines.
No, better not be.
Grand Low better be out there. We're out. Oh, my name's better. Oh, my name's better. Oh, my name's better. Yeah, hey, Grand Low, you gotta get out.
As the fire took hold and onlookers watched from a safe distance, a dark humanoid shape briefly materialized inside one of the rooms. The whole thing lasted only a second, but it was unmistakable enough to set off a flood of speculation. There are those who are convinced a spirit was trapped within the walls of that burning structure. So was something truly supernatural caught on film here, or does a rational explanation exist for what people saw? Cinemas is a content creator known for scaling extreme structures. Think radio towers and towering derelict buildings. His videos are absolutely not recommended viewing if heights make your stomach drop, but this particular upload had nothing to do with climbing. Instead, he and a buddy decided to wander through an abandoned factory and document the whole thing. Sadly, the trip took a sharp turn when they stumbled onto something they weren't expecting. They spotted a local worker actively pursuing them, and the atmosphere went from curious to panic-inducing in seconds. Making things worse, his friend wasn't exactly built for speed, which meant he kept having to glance back just to check the guy was still with him.
Holy shit, Sam.
This was the moment they were convinced they'd finally shaken the man off, and there was no chance he was still on their tail, except he absolutely was, and they came dangerously close to getting caught right then and there.
Sergey. Горячо. Шурос. Лип. Мясника не вандализуем.
The worker eventually closed in on them to an alarming degree, though somehow they managed to slip away. They attempted to reason with him afterward, making it clear they had no intention of stealing anything. But one thing is pretty obvious, he's probably never bringing that particular friend along on an adventure again. Seriously, the guy was practically moving in slow motion, and they nearly got caught on 2 separate occasions because of it. If you're not prepared to sprint when things go sideways, why even show up? At that point, they were almost done for, though the worker had likely burned through whatever energy he had left after that whole pursuit. Honestly, whatever that man earns, it is nowhere near enough. TikTok creator known as La Familia Sanchez isn't someone you'd associate with paranormal content. Their page is usually filled with heartwarming family clips, but something they posted on May 25th, 2026 immediately grabbed our attention. We're not saying this is a ghost on camera, but it's hard to deny this is one seriously strange glitch in the Matrix.
As soon as I step out, watch, look. Right there. Boom.
They came out of nowhere.
They just appeared.
As the family steps out of their home and onto the front porch, a pair of eyeglasses suddenly materializes on the ground from absolutely nothing. What makes this so compelling is that even the skeptics who chalk it up to some kind of camera artifact can't explain away the fact that family members are visibly stepping through that very same empty spot just seconds before the glasses simply pop into existence. So what exactly are we looking at here? Did a physical object just blink into our world out of thin air? Or is there some perfectly rational explanation hiding behind this deeply strange visual moment? This next piece of footage was originally posted to YouTube by a channel known as Kilulu back on December 4th, 2012. It follows a group of friends who decided to venture into a long, poorly lit tunnel well after dark. Right from the start, the mood is unsettling. One member of the group sweeps a flashlight ahead, scanning the tunnel for anything lurking further down. After a moment of hesitation, they press on, edging deeper into the passage. Cautiously, one step at a time, they push further through the dark, their nerves clearly building with every move. And then, see for yourself what unfolds. Without any warning, a mysterious figure comes barreling straight toward them at full force. The response is instant. The entire group bolts in the opposite direction, visibly terrified by whatever just emerged from the shadows. The figure itself is difficult to make out. Its shape appears strange, almost warped, though the low lighting certainly doesn't help in trying to understand what exactly we're looking at. For some viewers, this feels like a genuine encounter with something unknown, a creature lurking deep within the tunnel that only revealed itself once the group wandered too close. Others believe it could just as easily be a person, perhaps planted there beforehand, who sprinted toward them purely to cause a reaction. What really sets this clip apart is how fast the whole situation flips. 1 second, it's a calm nighttime exploration, and the next, total chaos. Security cameras have a habit of recording things that were never meant to be seen. Shadows, reflections, and the occasional stray insect drift past lenses all the time. But every now and then something gets captured that's genuinely difficult to account for. The following clip has convinced quite a few viewers that they're looking at real paranormal evidence. It was posted online by a woman named Nancy, who had stepped away from her home to spend Christmas with family, leaving the place completely empty. Before heading out, she made sure her security cameras were up and running. Just as a precaution, what those cameras ended up recording though was something she never could have prepared herself for. That audio is deeply unsettling. It carries the unmistakable quality of screaming, someone either gripped by sheer terror or overwhelmed by serious pain. A number of viewers have even picked up on what sounds like a voice within that screaming, apparently saying something along the lines of "get out." Get out! According to Nancy, the footage shows absolutely nothing else. No movement, no figures, no disturbances of any kind, just that sound tearing through an otherwise silent house. Some people have pushed back with rational explanations, pointing to settling pipes or wildlife noises drifting in from outside. But take a moment and really listen. After hearing that for yourself, does it genuinely strike you as something a pipe or an animal could produce? Get out! David Luna posted a clip to TikTok that quickly grabbed the attention of thousands, documenting a bizarre and unsettling moment caught on his phone.
Escucha la risa.
Dios mío, Señor bendito, cúbreme con tu sangre. ¿A quién busca? ¿Se quiere sentar? Siéntese.
Initially, a chair appears to shift slightly by itself, accompanied by a sharp and unmistakable sound. But what follows is the part that really sends a chill down your spine. The chair then violently topples over in a way that seems to defy any logical explanation, as though something unseen had given it a forceful shove. This eerie sequence has left people struggling to make sense of what they're looking at. Some are convinced it points to paranormal forces or something supernatural at work, while others are holding out for a more grounded explanation, like a sudden draft or atmospheric pressure. He was by himself in a hospital. Then, something absolutely chilling unfolded. The videos you're about to see were uploaded by a man who works the night shift at a hospital in Mexico. In the beginning, his account was filled with normal, everyday content. But lately, he's been claiming that staying in the building after dark has brought on a series of disturbing and unexplained encounters. Determined to show people he wasn't making it up, he made the decision to start filming what was going on. Right around the 3 a.m. mark, this is what his camera caught. Later that same night, one of the hospital's internal security cameras recorded this footage out in the hallway. A faintly translucent shape drifting slowly down the corridor. And it didn't stop there. Just 2 nights later, deep into the evening while he found himself completely alone in that section of the building, something far more terrifying came at him without warning.
Miren. Miren. Acaban de ver eso. Se acaba de caer un bote. Se está moviendo esto. No veo nada. No hay nadie por acá. No hay nadie por acá. A la luna. Miren, se movió esto. Nota que venía caminando por acá. Y no veo a nadie. Miren. 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 Miren cómo se mueve eso. Para que vean que no hay nadie aquí.
So, where do you stand on this? Has this hospital genuinely become a hotspot for paranormal activity the way some viewers are suggesting? Or is there a more rational explanation you can think of? Baby monitors are supposed to bring peace of mind to parents across the country, yet it was through one of these very devices that a mother in the United States stumbled upon something she simply could not explain inside her little girl's room. By her account, it all unfolded on what appeared to be a completely unremarkable day. She had stepped away briefly to bring some laundry downstairs, leaving her daughter alone in the playpen. But when she came back, something immediately stopped her in her tracks. Her daughter was holding an object that had no business being there. The mother was certain she had seen that same item sitting on the far side of the room before she left, which would have made it completely out of reach for the child. Unsettled and needing answers, she pulled up the baby monitor footage to see what had actually gone on. What she found on that recording shook her to her core. In the video, the little girl is seen calmly watching TV when, without warning, she turns her head and fixes her gaze on something just beyond the camera's frame. Within seconds, she starts blowing kisses toward that seemingly empty corner of the room. Then, the object appears in the playpen as though someone had gently thrown it in her direction. The mother was horrified, especially given the fact that no one else was supposed to be in the house that day besides the two of them, and that still wasn't the full picture. Toward the end of the clip, multiple viewers pointed out that a second object appears to shift on its own, this time just outside the playpen. It was that combination of moments that prompted countless people to urge the mother to sit down and walk everyone through exactly what she had witnessed.
Okay, so this is my daughter's playpen that she was in when the bottle thing happened. So she was standing right here. The stem would have fallen about here. And as you can see, like directly in front of that on the other side is the toy bin where the bottle had landed. It landed about here. There's nothing around that the bottles could have come from, especially because like they landed straight down. So there's a little dresser, and then over there, and there is where the dressing room is, which is where the bottles were, where I put everything before I went downstairs to take everything out. So really no explanation.
Even after coming forward and sharing her account, the woman admits she still has no rational explanation for any of it. So the questions remain: who exactly was her daughter sending those kisses to? What force placed that object inside the playpen? And was that second movement just a strange coincidence? Or could it be further evidence that something else entirely was present in that room alongside her and her child? Chances are you've already heard of the app Randonautica, but on the off chance you haven't, here's the rundown. You enter an intention into the app, and most people go with something dark or creepy, and then it generates a set of random coordinates and sends you off to investigate. Think of it as a treasure hunt, where the treasure is, well, whatever you find. But here's where things get genuinely strange. A growing number of users believe the app is somehow plugged into something beyond the ordinary. the universe, some kind of energy, the paranormal. Take your pick. These people claim that by following the app's directions, they've stumbled across things that were deeply unsettling and sometimes outright terrifying. In the following paranormal clip, a man began noticing an overwhelming odor of sulfur and decay coming from his basement. After thoroughly searching the area himself, he couldn't find any visible cause, so he brought in contractors to take a proper look. They ruled out pipe leaks and any structural issues, but something did catch their eye. A section of brickwork that didn't quite match the rest of the wall. When they pulled those bricks out, what they found inside was deeply unsettling.
It's a train wreck down here. But when they decided that wasn't it, they opened up the wall here and didn't find any dead animals, but they did find that, and that's not even the weirdest part. Teeth, dude. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm just tripping out or...
Hidden within the wall were a horseshoe, nails, strands of hair, and teeth. Not long after the discovery, the smell throughout the house grew even more intense. 2 of his dogs had recently died under unclear circumstances, and his surviving dog began behaving oddly, planting itself at the basement door and barking at nothing.
He's been doing this weird shit all day. What's wrong, Joe? There's nothing in there for you, buddy. Come on. Joe. Come on.
The dog completely tunes out its owner and keeps its gaze fixed on the bottom of that door. Meanwhile, a glass sitting on the table begins sliding toward the edge on its own, eventually dropping off. The sound makes the dog's ears twitch, yet it never breaks its stare from the basement door. The following day, he tries to take his mind off things by playing guitar and burning sage. Something peculiar, resembling a shadowy figure, appears to dissolve into the background behind him. That very night, his sleep is repeatedly disturbed, so he installs cameras throughout the entire property. On one particular evening, as he steps out something deeply troubling, When he comes back inside, he spots a book lying on the floor and sets it back on the table. only to be stunned when he realizes what it is. Some kind of poltergeist-like force had hurled the Bible clean off the shelf, and if you look carefully, the book is sitting fully pushed into its slot before he ever walks out the door. The very next day, the camera is running again, and what it records is far more disturbing. What appears to be a small entity is seen scorching the Bible. When he gets home, he says there was no one there, no explanation whatsoever, and at this point he's genuinely convinced something demonic may have taken hold of his home. Over the past 2 centuries, more than 34 documented incidents have been recorded both on this property and in the surrounding area, all pointing toward the same grim conclusion. Then, one evening, shortly after returning home and settling onto the sofa, he finally witnesses it himself. A dark, looming shadow figure, unmistakably ghost-like, appears in the reflection of the television screen. The moment he spins around to face the room, there's nothing there, and just like that, it vanishes from the reflection too. His dog, however, immediately turns and stares directly in that same direction. So what exactly is haunting this house, and could it be connected to those teeth and that foul smell sealed behind the basement wall, or perhaps the property's long and sinister history? Like so many of these cases, this one refuses to offer any easy answers. Getting stuck in traffic is something nobody enjoys, but for TikTok user Jorge Nava, the frustration of being gridlocked on the night of May 13th, 2026 was the least of his concerns. The footage shows Jorge trapped in a standstill late at night, and as if that wasn't already aggravating enough, something else enters the picture that takes the whole situation to a different level entirely. Right about at this point, what looks like a face becomes visible on Jorge's dashcam display. It's only there for a moment, but once you spot it, it's hard to ignore. The image doesn't exactly scream supernatural or terrifying, yet its abrupt appearance is what's left so many viewers scratching their heads trying to make sense of it. Some commenters have thrown out explanations like a reflection, a glitch in the camera, or some other technical cause. Others aren't buying any of it and think the whole thing was staged for views. Regardless of where you land on that, it's a genuinely strange thing to have show up on your dashcam. The good news is that Jorge seems to have walked away completely unaffected, given that he was able to wrap up the recording and post the clip to TikTok afterward. So what's your take on what appeared on that dashcam screen that night? A weird visual fluke, an elaborate setup, or something that doesn't have such a simple explanation? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. A security guard in his 20s pulling a night shift at a Chilean hospital was about to discover that a building under renovation was the least of his worries. As he patrolled the premises, he started capturing a string of bizarre and unsettling incidents on camera.
Conchetumare. Conchetumare. ¿Qué wea fue eso? ¿Qué esa wea, conchetumare?
Even after several investigations, authorities have come up empty-handed, leaving one burning question: what exactly is going on inside that hospital? Nick and Julie have built their following around peaceful truck camping content. The kind of easygoing, scenic adventures that leave you feeling relaxed just watching. That's exactly what makes this particular trip to Kentucky's Red River Gorge stand out so sharply. What started as a casual day of sightseeing gradually unraveled into something neither of them saw coming. An unsettling encounter that no amount of trip planning could have prepared them for. The day opened on a perfectly ordinary note.
Welcome to a new video. We're in the Red River Gorge in Kentucky, heading up to the natural bridge on their skylift. This is so cool. I like this hike up to the bridge. We just came from all the way back there.
This is way more than 100 feet.
This must be the top of the natural bridge. And there's no fencing or anything. And it's actually pretty slippery because it's sandstone.
Yeah, there's
no railing, nothing.
You just slide off.
I did not know that this was Kentucky.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't travel Kentucky much.
No. Wow. I think this is called the Fat Man Squeeze. Probably try sideways.
Sideways?
No? Get...
Take my backpack off. This is crazy. I'm not even fat.
Oh, wow.
The two rode the skylift up to the famous natural bridge, one of the most iconic rock formations in the entire region. Despite the July heat, the views were the kind that put your mind completely at ease.
Skylift down, we actually get a reveal of the giant arch, the giant natural bridge here. Check this out. Isn't that incredible? So this Red River Gorge has a lot of natural formations. I think over 100 natural arches and natural bridges like this. And this one is one of the biggest ones. One of the most popular ones. It is 65 feet tall and 75 feet across. That's incredible that this is just natural like that. So beautiful.
It's pizza oven. Yeah, there will be a pizza oven. Make a fire in there. Do your pizza.
For sure.
Pizza in here.
Yeah.
That's it.
You must be hungry. Looks so pretty along the trail. We took the skylift on the way up and we're hiking down. I think that was definitely a good idea because it's pretty steep. I feel like you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, it smells
It's
good.
a beautiful hike
It smells
too.
really good here.
And it's a little bit easier going down than up, so.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
You can smell the pine.
Can't believe the rhododendrons are still in bloom up here. We're in July already and they're still blooming.
The hike back down was demanding but gorgeous, and once they returned to their camper, they shifted focus to finding somewhere to camp for the night. Armed with a legal permit they'd picked up earlier that day, they headed further into Daniel Boone National Forest. After winding through the trees for a while, they came across a secluded spot nestled alongside a creek. It was close to 7 in the evening when they pulled in, and on the surface it looked like exactly what they were after. Just birdsong and running water. No other people, no engine noise in the distance, nothing to suggest anyone else was nearby. But once they started getting settled, something about the site gave them pause.
We haven't seen anyone around yet, but some things are kind of sketchy around here. First of all, There's a bottle of alcohol in the tree. And then there's a bunch of gun shells. There's a shotgun shell. There's a gun cartridge there. There's some broken glass. There's another gun cartridge. When we were driving in, we broke our boost antenna. Probably got snagged on a tree branch or something. I'm feeling creeped out right now.
Yeah, I think so.
People sometimes come here to party and shoot guns or something, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and they drive four-wheelers and stuff.
Yeah, this is all like
tire tracks and
mud, so hopefully it'll be a quiet night.
Scattered around the area were liquor bottles wedged into the hollows of trees and spent shotgun shells littering the ground. Some of those shells still had their color, not yet dulled by weather or time. Shards of broken glass caught the light beneath a layer of pine needles. Deep tire ruts carved into the mud hinted that ATVs or heavy trucks had been tearing through the area, and not long ago either. For somewhere so remote, this place had clearly been used, and not for the kind of quiet getaway Nick and Julie had in mind. They tried to shake off the uneasy feeling and got to work on dinner. Julie started cooking, and for a brief moment, things seemed fine, until everything shifted.
And there some like 2 4-wheelers drove up from the woods, and they kind of just like parked in front of our truck and camper, and they just stood there for about like, how long do you think it was? Like a good 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So we're not sure what that was all about.
Yeah, they already left, but I don't know if I want to stay here. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think it's worth the risk or whatever, just in case.
Yeah, we're not sure what it was all about.
Yeah.
If it was just, they're just standing there for no reason, or if they just don't want people staying here.
Who knows?
Yeah,
yeah, they didn't say anything. They just parked in front of the truck.
Yeah, so it's just
for
kind
20
of weird.
minutes.
There's no service here.
Yeah.
And it's just in the middle of the woods. There's no one here, so we don't know what that was all about.
I think it's best to just pack up and leave at this point, just in case. Who knows? Better be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
So we're going to clean up our stuff and head out. Oh, too bad. That's all right. Whatever.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to be heading out.
2 riders on 4-wheelers emerged from the tree line without warning. They didn't ride through or acknowledge the couple with a friendly nod. Instead, they pulled up directly in front of the truck and camper and just stayed there. For an uncomfortable stretch of time, the 2 individuals reportedly sat motionless, offering no explanation for why they'd stopped. The silence that followed was nothing like the peaceful quiet the couple had been hoping for. Nick and Julie held their ground near the vehicle, keeping their eyes on the strangers. With 0 cell reception and the nearest person miles away, reaching out for help simply wasn't an option if things took a turn. Eventually, the riders left without ever saying a single word, but the feeling of security had already evaporated. This wasn't the kind of run-in you chalk up to friendly locals or fellow outdoor enthusiasts passing through. It was loaded with ambiguity and tension. The moment those strangers disappeared back into the woods, Nick and Julie didn't deliberate. They packed everything up, climbed in the truck, and drove away. No argument, no direct threat, but none was needed. Between the spent ammunition, the broken glass, and the wordless visit, every detail pointed to the same thing. This was not somewhere they wanted to close their eyes for the night. Their evening wrapped up not with a crackling fire and a meal under an open sky, but with headlights cutting through the dark, destination unknown, knowing only that wherever they ended up next would feel a whole lot better than where they'd just been. What's your take on what happened out there? Drop it in the comments below. The following video was recorded on a bright afternoon somewhere in the Appalachian woods. A woman was walking a dirt path through dense green forest with her young daughter when the girl suddenly stopped and pointed into the trees. She said she could see a black head, something dark peeking out from behind the foliage on a slight incline just off the path. The woman asked her to hold still so she could zoom in. Watch.
What do you see?
A black head.
A black head. Stop moving. Stop moving and just point, and we'll find it with the camera and zoom in.
Yeah, I think it's a black head.
A black head.
Yeah.
Okay. In the in this patch?
No, not in the patch. Like where the trees are.
A black head.
I think it's disappearing.
Could it just be the tree line?
I think it is.
You think it's just the tree line? Yeah. Did anybody see what she sees? I don't know.
When the camera pushes into that cluster of leaves and vines, a dark shape does appear, motionless, partially obscured, resembling a dark head and the top of a shoulder pressed against the vegetation. The child quietly says she thinks it's disappearing. Some viewers think it's pareidolia, your brain forcing a familiar shape out of shadow and leaf pattern. Others aren't so sure. The Appalachians have a long history of locals reporting encounters with figures in these woods that don't behave like animals and don't move like people. The child saw it first, and that detail alone is hard to shake. In this next clip, a woman is out in her backyard on a cloudy afternoon, filming from inside her above-ground pool. A completely ordinary moment that takes a very unsettling turn. She's pointing her phone at the water, panning around, when something between the two neighboring houses stops her cold. Watch.
I'm just in the pool. Please tell me I'm not just seeing things. You see that shit too? Right there.
Standing motionless among the dense green foliage between the houses is a tall, unnervingly thin, dark figure, humanoid in shape with a distinct head, torso, and long, stick-like limbs, its flat, dark color cutting sharply against all that green. "Please tell me I'm not just seeing things," she says. Some viewers think this is a garden statue or a decorative cutout. Others aren't so sure. The proportions are wrong for any ordinary yard ornament, and the way it sits half hidden in the plants feels deliberate. You decide what it was waiting for. Now, in this next clip, a man and a woman named Patty are home alone in the middle of the day when the house begins making sounds that neither of them can explain. Not the usual creaks of settling walls or pipes, but something that stops them mid-conversation and makes them look toward the hallway. It starts with a rhythmic knocking, distinct and deliberate, coming from somewhere near what the man describes as the office. Patty thinks it sounds closer to the front door. They're still debating that when the man calls out in Spanish, asking who's there, and gets nothing back. Just silence and then more sounds, faint and indistinct, like someone talking just below the threshold of hearing. He gets up, moves through the dining room toward the far side of the house, calling out again. Watch.
¿Qué tal, jinetes? Buen día. Es que estamos escuchando. Es en el consultorio. ¿Tocan? ¿Quién está ahí? Estamos Pati y yo aquí, no hay nadie, estamos los dos solitos, pero se escucha que alguien nos habla. A ver. Hola. ¿Quién está ahí? Hey. ¿Rafa? ¿Quién está? Oye, amor. Se escucha que alguien está hablando.
Y escuché como que chillaba.
Sí. Pero no hay nadie. ¿Se escuchaba aquí? Escuché como la... ¿De Rafa? ¿Crees que sea eso? A ver, marquen. Bueno, checa.
What makes this footage so difficult to dismiss is the audio. As the man approaches the room, a clear, high-pitched childlike voice says, "Papi, Daddy," followed almost immediately by a short giggle. The room is empty. He even calls out, "Rafa?" as if testing whether their child somehow got home without them knowing. Then a sharp, loud bang hits from somewhere in the house, and Patty rushes in, visibly alarmed, telling him she heard someone talking and caught what sounded like a squeal. If you listen closely to the second giggle near the end, it doesn't sound muffled or distant. It sounds like it's right there in the room with them. When Potty finally mentions that a message just came through from Rafa's school, she seems to be reaching for an explanation, trying to connect the name they heard to something rational. Some believe voices like this, childlike and disembodied in an otherwise empty space, are a form of residual energy, a past presence echoing through familiar spaces, drawn back by something as simple as a name. Others think it's something far more aware than a residual echo, because residual energy doesn't giggle twice and move around the house. So what exactly was calling out for Daddy? You decide. Now, in this next clip, something deeply unsettling was recorded inside what appears to be a bedroom at night. A dark, dimly lit space where the camera is held low, pointed toward a desk or countertop against the far wall. The scene is quiet in the visual sense, but the audio is anything but. Watch. The rocking chair starts to move on its own. The family connected to this footage shared more than just that one clip. Later that same night, the situation escalated dramatically. Whatever tension had been building in that bedroom came to a head, and this time the entire household was caught in the middle of it. Listen closely.
Sí, mi vida, te da miedito.
Tranquilo, no tengo miedo. No, macho, tranquilo.
No, mami, no pasa nada, tranquila.
No manches, güey.
Tranquilos.
No mames, güey.
A woman and a small child are huddled together on a bed. A man is trying to hold his voice steady, telling everyone not to be afraid. And then without any warning, violent banging erupts from the direction of a wall or door. Loud, rapid, forceful impacts that send the whole room into immediate panic. A woman screams, children cry out, and the camera swings wildly, trying to find the source. The banging stops as abruptly as it started, and in the silence that follows, one of the men can be heard muttering in disbelief. The family's reaction alone is hard to explain away. These are adults trying to stay composed for frightened children, not people staging a moment for the camera. The following video was recorded inside a family home. A static, wide-angle camera capturing the kitchen and dining area while a woman sits at a table with her children and family, laughing and passing the time, completely lost in a story she's telling. The clip has no obvious setup, no investigation gear, no one wandering around with a flashlight, just a normal night at home, the kind where nobody's looking for anything. And that's exactly what makes it unsettling. While the families gathered around the table, fully absorbed in conversation, something in the kitchen behind them keeps drawing attention to itself. Quietly, repeatedly, and without a single person in the room noticing. Watch.
Esta es una loca, ¿viste? Oye, pero que tiene un problema serio.
Bueno, el chiste que yo tenía que hacer es que esta mujer, voy a poner yo hice una cookie en el oven. Entonces la cookie salió viva y hablando.
No joda.
Sí.
¿Cómo?
Y me dijo que no quería estar en el oven nomás. Que la sacara de ahí. Entonces yo cogí y la saqué de ahí.
Oye, no relajas así, que pena.
No.
Y se te fue corriendo.
Lo puse en un plato. Me dijo que la cookie se quejó diciendo que el plato está muy frío.
Ajá.
Y muy duro. Entonces la cogí, ¿verdad? Y la puse en un jar. Entonces en el jar se empezó a quejar porque había otras cookies que la estaban espachurrando.
No jodas.
Sí, la cogí de ahí y la puse como al lado del sofá. Y estamos mirando televisión y se quejó. Porque el perro estaba al frente de la televisión.
No jodas.
Sí. Y la cookie se quejó porque el perro estaba mirando la televisión más cerca.
Pues la cookie es una chismosa amargada, ¿verdad?
Entonces yo cogí la cookie y la acerqué al frente de la televisión, un poquito más al frente que el perro. La cookie se quejó. Y dijo la cookie, ¿por qué ese perro me está mirando? Entonces el perro cogió la cookie y dijo, no me gusta cómo me está cogiendo ni cómo me está mirando. ¡Hey! ¡Hey! ¡Sáquenme de aquí! ¡No quiero estar aquí! Pero yo, antes de yo reaccionar, el perro se la metió en su boca y se la comió y hasta ahí fue la historia. ¡Hey!
Es para que no se queje. ¿Quién fue la cookie? ¿Quién fue la cookie?
Those upper cabinet doors on the left wall open and shut multiple times across the length of the clip. At first just a brief flutter, then both doors swinging a few inches, then hanging open at a wide angle before pulling shut again, all of it happening in total silence while the woman finishes her story and everyone laughs. No one flinches. No one turns around. The family's complete unawareness is part of what makes this clip so hard to shake, because whatever was moving those doors wasn't trying to announce itself to them. It seemed content with just being there, just moving things, like an audience watching from the other side of the room. Some viewers familiar with poltergeist behavior pointed to that pattern immediately. Classic low-level activity, not destructive, not aggressive, just persistent. A poltergeist, in the traditional sense, isn't thought of as a ghost in the haunted house meaning. It's often described as a disruptive presence, sometimes linked to energy within the home rather than a spirit of a specific person. Something that moves objects seemingly for the sake of being noticed. The fact that this happened 4 separate times in a 2-minute span suggests whatever was in that kitchen wasn't finished. Now compare that slow, almost patient activity to what happens in this next clip. A man who identifies himself as a magician, his promotional banner visible on the wall behind him, sets up in a room with a large armchair in the foreground while he prepares to run through some card tricks. He's talking casually to the camera, totally relaxed, rummaging through his case. Then, something catches his eye. Watch.
So today, I have a little few magic trick that I want to share with everybody here. So, we're going to start off with a deck of cards. And, you know what? I'll just show you guys with... Oh, shit, hold on. Oh, shit. Okay. Alright. Anyways. I just saw that move. I think I'm probably going crazy, but... That is crazy. Oh, shit! Holy... Are you kidding me? Holy f... Holy shit! Oh shit!
The armchair in the foreground rotates on its own between camera cuts, and when he goes over to examine it, still trying to rationalize it, it suddenly lurches and rocks violently forward with no one anywhere near it, sending him stumbling back across the room in a full panic. His reaction is visceral and immediate, yelling and running to the far side of the room, and that moment is difficult to chalk up to a performance. Skeptics have pointed to the convenient 2-camera setup and the fact that the first movement happens during a cut as reasons to be suspicious, and that's fair. The setup is unusually polished for something being passed off as raw footage. But the final lurch of that chair is hard to stage without visible rigging, and his body language in the aftermath reads less like a reveal and more like someone genuinely processing what just happened. Some viewers think whatever was in that room had been there before he even started filming. The third clip sits in a very different register. A man stands alone in a dimly lit, worn-down kitchen at night, holding what looks like a Bible in a small container, walking through a house blessing, commanding whatever is in the home to leave, invoking the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, repeating it with growing urgency. He seemed serious. Whatever prompted this wasn't a minor inconvenience. Listen closely.
Yes, Father. Okay. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, I command every demon to leave my home immediately at this point right now. Every demon is to leave my house right now immediately. You are not welcome in this home. You are not welcome in my house. You are to leave my house immediately. Oh shit! Holy Father, it just fell. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, I command you to leave this house now. Now, you are not welcome in my house. Leave. Oh, holy. Ow, 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 ow. In the name of the Father, Father, something is here. It won't. Father. Oof. I'm out.
An object flies off the kitchen island with a sharp bang while he's standing several feet away. A door on the left of the frame slams violently shut on its own, and then he's physically jolted backward as if struck by something, crying out in pain and dropping his book, before the lights flicker and a deep, distorted guttural sound emerges low in the audio, something that doesn't resemble any environmental noise and sits in the clip like a signature. He ends the clip with 2 words: "I'm out." In demonology and exorcism traditions across Catholic and broader Christian frameworks, the idea that a spiritual cleansing can provoke a response, that naming and commanding an entity can trigger retaliation, is taken seriously in many communities. What this man captured appears to be exactly that escalation pattern, and if you take it at face value, whatever was in that house didn't leave quietly. 3 separate homes, 3 very different situations. But across all of them, the activity doesn't wait to be invited. So what do you think ties them together? Coincidence, or something that moves between places the way most people never expect it to? The following video was recorded late one night when 2 girls were goofing around in their bedroom, laughing, playing, one trying to climb onto the top bunk by standing on her friend's shoulders, completely ordinary, completely carefree. Nobody was thinking about anything unusual. The girl on top lost her grip and tumbled down, hanging halfway off the bottom rail, calling out for help while her friend on the floor dissolved into laughter. It was one of those silly moments kids record and forget about. They didn't notice anything wrong that night. Watch.
You should be less
During the slow motion replay of the fall, a pale, slender hand and forearm appear draped over the back and right shoulder of the girl in the red shirt. Both girls' arms are fully accounted for elsewhere in the frame. According to the people who found this footage, the anomaly wasn't spotted until weeks after it was posted online. Many believe something unseen was crouched right there beside them the whole time, present in that room without either girl ever knowing. What would you do if you found something like that in your own home videos? The following videos were recorded by 2 separate witnesses, but the activity described in each one follows the same unsettling pattern. Something inside a home making itself impossible to ignore, then escalating just when you think you've seen the worst of it. In the first clip, a woman is sitting alone at night watching TV when she hears a noise coming from the kitchen. She grabs her phone and rushes in, and what she finds is strange enough on its own. 2 of the upper cabinet doors above the sink are standing wide open with no explanation. Panicked, she runs back through the house to get her partner Rocky, who's outside. She's calling his name, her voice shaking, and you can hear in the way she talks that she knows what she saw. Watch.
I
heard a noise from the kitchen. And I came into the kitchen and I noticed 2 of the cabinets open. Oh, I gotta get Rocky. Rocky! Rocky! Come here, hurry.
What?
Hurry, come here! I was sitting right here, watching La Brea, sitting in the chair, and I heard... Rocky, listen to me! I was sitting in the chair, watching La Brea, and freaking, I heard noises from the kitchen, and look. No, look! When I was just in here and there were only 2 cabinets open. Come on. No! Fucking see, I will show you the video. I literally took the video. I was in here, there were only 2 open.
Well, you dropped the F-bomb, so you must be serious.
When she comes back into that kitchen with Rocky, all 4 cabinet doors are now wide open. Not just the 2 she found the first time, but every single one of them. She gasps out loud, her voice trembling as she insists she was only gone for seconds. Rocky's expression moves from skepticism to something closer to concern as she pleads with him to believe her. What makes this harder to dismiss is the timeline. There was no one else in the kitchen, and the dog was with her the entire time. Some viewers believe cabinet activity like this is one of the more common ways a presence makes itself known. Something that isn't threatening in an obvious way, but chooses a repetitive domestic disruption specifically because it can't be easily explained away. Others point to poltergeist-type activity, a term that in paranormal tradition describes energy that focuses on physical movement, especially inside a home, often in kitchens or rooms used daily. Whatever the cause, it didn't stop there. The second clip was captured by a Ring security camera in a cluttered attic at night, where the woman and her partner are moving boxes when the situation turns violent. Listen closely.
Here, it's man, put it over here.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
No, that should be about it.
Nope.
It was probably just the wind.
The man's instinct is to walk toward where it came from and look behind the pile. Nothing there, nobody there. And then he follows her out, saying almost to himself that it was probably just the wind. It wasn't the wind. For people who've studied poltergeist cases, this kind of escalation, from subtle movement to direct physical contact, is exactly the pattern that tends to follow when activity goes unaddressed. It's not just a haunting anymore, it's something asserting itself. Another night, the woman is filming on her phone, voice calm, describing something she's never experienced in that house before. A smell like burnt cotton candy with no source, and the distinct feeling that something has been following her up the stairs. That kind of phantom scent, unexplained and specific, is something that turns up repeatedly in accounts of paranormal contact, often described as a way certain presences announce themselves before anything visible occurs. Watch.
So I smell something that smells like burnt cotton candy. And this is the first time I've actually felt like I've been followed up the stairs. Nope.
As she films, a faint whistle echoes through the house. Not a tune, just a slow, deliberate whistle coming from somewhere out of sight. Many paranormal researchers consider unexplained whistling particularly unsettling because it appears repeatedly in folklore across different cultures. In parts of Appalachia, Mexico, and even throughout sections of Europe, unexplained whistles heard at night are traditionally treated as warnings rather than invitations to investigate. One common piece of advice passed down through generations is simple. If you hear an unseen whistle, don't whistle back. Another detail caught viewers' attention. This isn't a modern home. According to the owners, the house was originally built in 1901, meaning more than a century of families have lived within its walls. Older houses naturally develop creaks, shifting timbers, and strange acoustics over time, but believers argue that they're also the kinds of places where generations of memories, tragedies, and personal histories accumulate, making them frequent subjects of paranormal claims. But between the unexplained shove in the attic, the phantom scent, the feeling of being followed, and now a whistle drifting through a house that stood for well over 100 years, the couple has become convinced they're not dealing with isolated incidents anymore. They're dealing with a pattern. In this next clip, a man is filming at night from what appears to be an elevated indoor position, a balcony or window, looking down into the front yard below. Something down there clearly caught his attention. Watch.
Come here. There's someone in the fucking front yard. Can you see it? Dude, what the actual
The camera slowly tilts downward before zooming into a dark section of the yard. At first, it's difficult to see anything. Then a pale, oval-shaped object begins to stand out against the darkness. The man continues to zoom in, trying to get a clearer look, but the image never becomes sharp enough to identify exactly what he's seeing. Some viewers believe it's nothing more than an object catching the light at the right angle, a plastic bag, a rock, or a garden ornament partially illuminated by the camera's night mode. Given the low resolution and heavy digital noise common in nighttime recordings, that's certainly possible. Others weren't convinced. In paranormal folklore, sightings of pale faces lingering just beyond the edge of a property's light are surprisingly common. They're often described as manifestations that remain at a distance, observing rather than approaching, appearing only long enough to be noticed before disappearing back into darkness. Whether those stories reflect genuine encounters or simply the mind's tendency to find familiar faces in vague shapes is impossible to know. Now, in this next clip, a group out bow fishing at night spotted something that stopped them cold. A woman standing alone in the middle of a dark lake, nowhere near any dock or shoreline you could easily reach on foot. The water around her was still except for the natural ripples, and she wasn't swimming, wasn't wading, wasn't moving at all. Just standing there, waist deep, in a white or light-colored dress, facing away from the boat toward the darkened tree line. Watch. She doesn't react to the boat's green lights, doesn't turn around, doesn't acknowledge anyone approaching. For viewers familiar with Mexican and Latin American folklore, the image is immediately recognizable. A woman in white, standing motionless near water in the dark is one of the most enduring descriptions of La Llorona, the so-called weeping woman, a figure said to haunt riverbanks and lake shores, perpetually searching. Others think there's a simpler explanation, though none have been offered that fully accounts for why she's there. What would you do? This next video was recorded inside what appears to be a private home late at night, and whoever is holding the camera is clearly already frightened before anything happens. The movement is frantic, disoriented, lurching through a dimly lit hallway past white doors and furniture as though something has already been seen. Then suddenly, her closet door opens. Watch. Without anyone touching it, the closet door slowly swings open. Then, emerging from the darkness inside, what appears to be a hand reaches out and rests against the wall beside the doorway. The second she notices it, she cautiously moves closer, keeping the camera trained on the opening. But when she finally reaches the closet, there's no one inside. In many paranormal accounts, closets are considered liminal spaces, enclosed, rarely disturbed areas that exist between the familiar living space and hidden storage. While there's no evidence that closets are inherently paranormal, they frequently appear in witness reports involving unexplained figures, partly because the darkness inside makes fleeting shapes especially difficult to identify. Whether this was an illusion, someone hidden from view, or something else entirely remains impossible to prove. But what unsettled viewers most wasn't the opening door, it was the fact that something appeared to reach out, only to leave an empty closet behind when she went looking for it. Now, in this next clip, a man is filming inside his home late at night when something near a closed interior door stops him cold, and what he finds on the other side makes the whole family react in a way that's hard to forget. Watch.
No mames. Sí lo logré ver. Sí lo logré ver. No mames. No, Dios mío. Dios mío. No mames, es... Oh manches. Está cañón. Ay, espérenme. Mira. Oh, mira, ven a ver. Ven a ver, órale. Sorprendente, ¿eh? Sí. ¿Y dónde está la niña? Salmo 91, chicos.
For centuries, Psalm 91 has been regarded by many Christians as one of the Bible's most powerful prayers of protection. It speaks of divine shelter, angelic guardianship, and deliverance from unseen dangers that move through darkness. Whether he believed the doll itself was responsible or simply wanted to bless the home, it's clear his first instinct was to seek protection rather than an explanation. Some viewers dismissed the entire scene as staged, arguing that the doll could easily have been positioned there beforehand. Others pointed to the family's reactions instead. The mother's startled voice, the child crying in the background, and the father's visible confusion don't come across as rehearsed. There are also long-standing folklore traditions surrounding human-like dolls. While most are nothing more than toys or collectibles, stories from Europe, Japan, and parts of Latin America have long warned that objects made in the human image can become unsettling focal points for supernatural legends, especially when witnesses claim they appear where they shouldn't or seem to imitate people living in the home. Whether this was an elaborate prank, an extraordinary coincidence, or something far more difficult to explain remains unknown. But one question continues to haunt viewers. If their daughter never left her mother's lap, then who was the little girl that ran past the door? The following video was recorded on a Ring security camera inside what appears to be a bedroom, a tidy, softly lit space at night, the kind of room that feels completely ordinary right up until it doesn't. According to the person who shared this footage, they were home alone, with no roommates in the house, no one expected, no one nearby. Watch.
Yeah?
At the 3-second mark, 2 sharp, firm knocks ring out. Clear, deliberate, exactly the kind of sound you'd hear if someone's knuckles connected with a wooden door. And she responds naturally, calmly calling out, "Yeah?" from somewhere off camera, as if she fully expected someone to answer. No one did. The room stays completely still. No door opens, no footsteps follow, nothing moves. That's what makes it so unsettling. a knock that deliberate doesn't happen on its own. Some viewers think it's residual energy, the idea that certain spaces replay past actions like a loop, a knock from someone who used to live there, still reaching for an answer. Others aren't convinced by that and lean towards something more active, something that knew she was home. What you're left with is a sound that had intention behind it, and a silence afterward that's harder to explain than the knock itself. The following video was recorded by a man doing what he does most nights, walking around his compound making sure everything was as he left it. At dusk, he starts filming himself on his phone, giving a casual walkthrough of the yard. A couple of sheds, some trees, nothing unusual. But as the light fades completely and he switches to a flashlight to navigate the dark, something stops him. Watch.
What the f... Sound like a twig snapping behind me. As y'all can see, ain't nobody here, it's just me. Because people like to say I got people hiding in places. Oh, man. Whew. The chills I just got. Oh, my heart is racing. Okay, we're gonna see it through. We're gonna see it through. So I've been sitting out here now for about maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I'm not really sure at this point. Not much else has happened. Aside from the noise that I heard in front of me, the twig snapping, which could have just been a twig falling from the tree. Nothing's really gone on. So I think I'm just gonna get ready to just like wrap it up, and because I gotta get ready to go to work anyway. But oh my, holy, I don't know if the camera picked that up. That was loud as fudge. It sounded like something hitting the thing, the shed. I hope the other camera is recording. If it is, I'm gonna include that footage. That was loud. These damn animals are going crazy tonight. You can't even see me. I don't know why I turned the damn camera. You can't see me. I'm trying to do this. I heard that clear as day. I heard leave as clear as day. Nope, time to go. Okay, later.
The shed door he insists he locked earlier that night is standing open. He pushes it shut, latches it, and then, after a moment of hesitation, decides to go inside. What he finds on the shelves isn't a tool chest or garden equipment. It's dozens of Lalaloopsy dolls, all in their original packaging, lined up in neat rows like they've been carefully arranged and waiting. A child's rocking horse sits on the floor. It's the kind of discovery that doesn't make sense in a shed like this, on a property like this, at this hour. Then, while he's standing there taking it all in, he looks off to his left, and whatever he sees makes him let out a sharp, guttural yell before the camera drops and the footage cuts. You never see what he reacted to. Some viewers think the collection itself is the real story, that objects associated with children, especially dolls, have long been connected in paranormal accounts to residual energy or to something that uses familiar, comforting forms to draw people closer. Skeptics argue the whole thing reads more like a short horror film than a genuine patrol gone wrong, pointing to the neat narrative arc and the perfectly timed text overlay. But his reaction in that final moment, the pitch of that yell, the way the camera just drops, is difficult to explain away. So what do you think was standing in that shed? This next video was recorded on a home security camera overnight. No one in the house, no one in the room, just a static infrared shot of a living room sitting completely empty in the dark. There's a couch, an interior door to the left, a clock on the wall, and beyond that a kitchen counter. Nothing moves, not once across the entire clip. But if you can hear what's playing on the audio, you'll understand why this footage has been making the rounds. Viewers initially suggested it could be another member of the household walking through the home during the night. That's certainly one possibility, but according to the person who shared the footage, everyone in the house was asleep when the camera captured it, and no one could account for anyone walking that hallway at that hour. Others pointed toward the idea of a shadow person, one of the most commonly reported apparitions in paranormal cases. Unlike traditional ghost sightings, shadow figures are often described not as transparent spirits, but as solid, featureless silhouettes that appear briefly in peripheral spaces such as hallways, staircases, and doorways before vanishing without a trace. Interestingly, hallways themselves have long held symbolic significance in folklore. They're transitional spaces, connecting one room to another, neither destination nor origin. Across various traditions, liminal places like hallways, thresholds, and doorways have often been regarded as places where the boundary between the ordinary world and the unknown feels unusually thin. Whether that's what this camera captured or simply someone who somehow went unnoticed remains impossible to prove. But if there really was no one awake in that house, then who or what was quietly walking through the hallway while everyone slept? This next video was recorded at night inside what appears to be a home. A living room, a kitchen, a dark outdoor space glimpsed through a barred window. And from the very first frame, something already feels off. The person filming moves through the space in near total silence, sweeping a powerful light source through the rooms, the kind of light that shifts between green and red and throws everything into harsh, disorienting shadows. A child's tricycle sits near a speaker stand. Framed photos line an entertainment unit. Normal things in a space that doesn't feel normal anymore. For the first 2 minutes, there's no audio at all, just the flicker of colored lights, the unsteady movement of a handheld camera, and a slow, creeping sense that whatever has drawn this man through his own home is getting closer. Watch.
Va de retro satana, itzi, ilivana, non draco, elevas, itse venena vivas. Va de retro satana. Va de retro satana. Y estoy, amigos, con ustedes. No tengan miedo. Que si yo no tengo miedo, ustedes tampoco. La verga, güey, no mames. No, fue mala idea decir esas mamadas. el agua. Está lloviendo. Cruz sacra sit mi ilux, non draco sit mi ilux, va de retro satana, nun quan suade minivana, sud mala, elevas, bit se venena vivas. Aquí fui.
The handle moves as though someone or something is trying to force its way inside. Many viewers suggested there could have been an ordinary explanation. Perhaps someone outside had mistaken the house, or strong wind was putting pressure on the door. Those possibilities can't be ruled out. Others weren't convinced. Across many folklore traditions, an unseen presence attempting to gain entry carries a particular significance. Stories from Europe, Asia, and Latin America often describe supernatural entities as remaining outside a home until they are invited in, or until someone willingly opens the door. Whether those tales are symbolic or literal depends entirely on who you ask, but they all share one common warning. Don't open the door simply because something on the other side wants your attention. That detail is what unsettled so many viewers. Whatever was outside never announced itself. And sometimes, the things you never see are far more frightening than the ones you do. On another night, the man was jolted awake by a sound coming from the same part of the house. Expecting to find a window open or something that had fallen over, he grabbed his phone and started recording as he made his way into the room. What he found was far stranger. Watch. A wooden rocking chair is moving back and forth on its own. Not a slight wobble, and not the kind of movement you'd expect after someone has just stood up. It's rocking steadily, over and over again, as though someone is still sitting in it, even though the room is completely empty. He slowly scans the area, looking for anything that could explain it. Nothing. No one is there. Rocking chairs have occupied a strange place in ghost stories for generations. From old family homes to abandoned farmhouses, they're often portrayed as symbols of an unseen occupant, something present but invisible. While folklore isn't evidence, the image of an empty chair rocking by itself has become one of the most enduring motifs in paranormal accounts because it creates the unsettling impression that a space is occupied even when it appears vacant. The following video was recorded by a man named David, who has been dealing with strange, escalating activity inside his home for what appears to be a significant stretch of time, long enough that he's stopped being surprised by individual events and started trying to document a pattern. On this particular night, he woke to sounds he couldn't immediately explain, grabbed his phone, and began moving through the dark hallway with nothing but the screen's glow lighting the way. A person named Frida was asleep in a red hammock in the living room, completely undisturbed, while David made his way from room to room, checking each door. He'd said earlier that he thought it had all stopped. Watch.
Yo creo que ya se había acabado. Se empezó a mover. No hay nadie. Y esa es Frida. Aquí no hay nada ni nadie. Eso había detenido todo esto. No sé.
The doorknob turned on its own, slowly, deliberately, and the door swung open into darkness, with no one on the other side. The most unnerving moment came last. A disembodied female voice, close and clear, whispered his name, David, in a room he was alone in. 3 separate events in under 2 minutes is the kind of escalation that tends to shift how people think about a case, and it clearly shifted something for David too, because what comes next is a full investigation. Watch closely.
Ahí se escucha. Ya está, antes de voy a encender la luz de esto.
In the days that followed, David installed security cameras, scattered talcum powder on the floor to track movement, and started recording everything. The cameras caught a faint voice that sounds like a child saying, "I hate you, Dad," in an empty room. And on March 28th of 2026, at around 1:30 in the morning, the security footage captured a fast-moving white shape darting behind a box and appearing to vanish into a large mirror. Some viewers believe it's what David himself called La Niña, the girl, suggesting something or someone has made that mirror a point of entry or exit. Others pointed to the diorama on David's desk, a hollowed out CRT television containing a doll styled after the figure from The Ring, and wondered whether bringing that kind of object into the home had anything to do with what's been happening. David says he's considering opening the doll and has asked for advice from anyone familiar with these situations. What's harder to dismiss is the combination: a voice that knows his name, a shape that disappears into a mirror, and footprints that haven't appeared in the powder yet. But that's exactly the kind of detail that makes you wonder what David's going to find when he checks it next time. Now, in this next clip, a man is home alone when something inside his basement begins violently demanding to be let out. For several seconds, the door to the basement shakes and rattles in its frame with a force that sounds less like a draft and more like something throwing its full weight against the wood from the other side. He's holding his phone, standing in the hallway, and you can hear it before you even see it. Loud, aggressive, rhythmic banging that doesn't stop for over 10 seconds. Watch.
What in the hell is that sound? What the hell is that? I don't hear it now.
The door rattles like something is furious on the other side, and when he finally opens it, the basement staircase looks undisturbed. Just a few cardboard boxes sitting on the steps. But then there's a cut in the footage, and that's where things shift. A deep guttural growl fills the audio, raw and animalistic, and his breathing immediately goes ragged. When he gets the nerve to open that door a second time, the boxes have moved. Not fallen. Moved. The single box on the left has slid further down and closer to the wall, and the stack on the right has shifted position entirely. If you compare both door openings side by side, the displacement is hard to dismiss. Some viewers think whatever was banging wanted to be seen, and once it realized the camera was off, it finished what it started. Others believe the growl and the movement are two separate things sharing the same basement. He said he didn't hear it anymore once he opened the door the second time. That might be the most unsettling detail of all. The following video dates back to 2024 and was captured by a family's security camera on a quiet Sunday night at around 9 p.m., a time when nothing unusual would normally be expected, especially inside a home where everyone is settled in for the evening. That sense of normalcy, however, is interrupted when the woman's son goes into the kitchen to make himself a cup of coffee, a simple routine that quickly turns into something far more unsettling. Not long after, he rushes back to her room, visibly shaken, his face pale and his voice unsteady, insisting that he heard someone call his name, not faintly or from a distance, but clearly enough to make him respond, even though no one in the house had called out to him. Within seconds, the CCTV system sends a notification, motion detected in the living room, despite the fact that no one is supposed to be there. Naturally, they check the footage, expecting to find something ordinary, something explainable, but instead, they see this. Watch. The camera itself begins to move, as though it is tracking something. Then, without warning, the scooter seat snaps shut with force. Some viewers pointed out that in the initial footage, while the sound is clear, the movement itself is difficult to fully see, raising questions about whether it could be a technical issue or a trick of perspective. But then, they shared another angle. Watch. This time, the movement becomes harder to dismiss, reinforcing the idea that something is interacting with the environment. After this incident, the family decides to bless the house, taking steps to cleanse the space and restore a sense of safety. And for a while, it seems to work, as the disturbances stop and life returns to normal, or at least something close to it. But nearly 2 years later, on March 17th, 2026, at around 2 a.m. when everyone in the house is asleep, something happens again. Watch. The bike was stationary and untouched, so how did this happen? The family is beginning to think that whatever may have been present before didn't fully leave, but instead remained dormant, quiet for a long period before making itself known again. Now the family is left questioning whether what they experienced years ago has returned, or whether there is another explanation that has yet to be uncovered. Because when something disappears and then reappears after such a long silence, it creates the unsettling possibility that it was never truly gone, only waiting for the right moment to be noticed again. But you be the judge. In this next clip, a woman is home alone, going about something as routine as doing the dishes when she suddenly begins to hear strange knocking sounds coming from another part of the house. But when she looks around, everything appears normal. No movement and no sign of anyone being there. Still unsettled, she decides to take an extra step, setting up a camera in the living room before heading back to the kitchen, almost as if she anticipates that whatever made the noise might happen again, but this time she wants proof. A few minutes later, the camera captures this. Watch.
Okay, I'm so crazy, right? Here you go. Baby is terrified. Hold on. I know. You're okay. You're okay. I know.
For a long time, these events remained unexplained, disconnected pieces of a pattern she couldn't fully understand until she eventually traced it back to something she had almost forgotten about. A necklace she purchased back in 2011 from an estate sale, something she initially saw as just a unique vintage piece. The necklace carried unfamiliar symbols, details she didn't think much of at the time, but later came to learn were associated with a figure known for occult rituals and darker spiritual practices, giving the object a context she hadn't considered when she first brought it into her home. Some viewers have pointed out that in many beliefs, objects linked to rituals or symbolic practices are not always the source, but sometimes just a medium. Something that allows access rather than containing it, which raises a more unsettling possibility, that removing the object may not necessarily remove whatever became attached through it,